In your opinion, which country in Europe has the highest debt that is hardest to resolve?
Now, clearly, Greece is unable to pay its debt, and I talked about how Greece has therefore had to tell creditors that it will not be able to pay all its debt, and creditors have already written off 74% of the total liability. And soon, probably, Portugal will also say that it will not be able to pay all its debt. So Portugal is also going to, may soon be forced to also acknowledge that it will not be able to pay all its debt. Yes, so these two immediately come to mind.
Is it possible for Asia to come in and help in Europe's debt?
Is it possible for Asia to
Come in to
Help.
help in Europe's debt?
Yes, it is possible for Asia to help. Now, how does Asia help? Now, for instance, if let's say if your friend is in trouble and wants a little loan from you to tide over his problem, the first thing that you need to figure out is just how deeply in debt he is. Because what if he takes money from you to pay off his previous debt, and then he's unable to pay you, and then he has to go to a third friend and say and take money from him or her to repay you. You don't want to be in that situation. So yes, you may want to help your friend, but you've got to be very clear as to what is going to be the end game for the loan that you're going to give. Are there any assets that are going to be pledged to you in exchange for this loan? So are you going to get some nice Greek islands if you make a loan to Greece? If that is the case, then yes, you should maybe go ahead and make that loan. But Asia, Asia therefore is not directly helping Greece. What it is doing is, it is giving money to an institution called the International Monetary Fund. Now, International Monetary Fund can help Greece, and International Monetary Fund always gets its loans back. Okay? So therefore, Asia is trying to make sure that its money is not wasted, and therefore lending through International Monetary Fund, which will always get its money back.
Is it accurate to say that Singapore will not experience the same European problem because we do not have a huge debt and the people have a tendency to spend their money wisely in Singapore?
It will be very accurate to say that Singapore, in the foreseeable future, as long as at least my eyes can see, is not going to have a problem like the one that Europe is facing today. Such problems are built over decades of mismanagement and bad economic policies. Now, you do not have either mismanagement or bad economic policies in Singapore. You do have a government which runs a fiscal surplus almost every year. What almost every year? Every year. And therefore, there is absolutely no imprudence here in terms of government spending, and Singapore government really doesn't need to borrow from outsiders. Okay, Singapore government does borrow. You know who it borrows from? You've heard of CPF?
Yeah.
Okay, so CPF is where workers put a part of their wages in, and the Singapore government borrows that money and gives workers a good return on their savings. Okay? And Singapore government only borrows from outsiders because it needs to give the private borrowers in Singapore, the companies, a sense of how expensive their debt should be. So in order to simply set a benchmark, you understand a benchmark? A standard. It goes and borrows from outsiders. Otherwise, there is absolutely no need for Singapore government to borrow. And to give a short answer to your question, there is absolutely no threat that Singapore will ever go down this sad route that Europe has gone down on.
Could you elaborate about the impact of the Euro debt crisis and its impact in the ASEAN region, now that the ASEAN region is now more resilient at this point of time?
You have almost every economy in ASEAN doing well, and even some economies which used to be very isolated in the past, like Myanmar, are now opening up. So it is right now looking like one of the best regions in the world in terms of its future potential. Now, having said that, it is entirely possible for ASEAN to feel the heat from the European debt crisis, because in today's world, you do not need to do anything wrong yourself to get punished, because everyone is interlinked. If the European debt crisis leads to a shutdown of the global banking system, because I just showed you that today's moneylenders, the banks, are a very important cog in the entire wheel. So if the global banking system was to shut down, like it had shut down following the collapse of the US investment bank Lehman Brothers in 2008, yes, ASEAN will get impacted. It will certainly be able to make sure that the impact is mitigated, but to think that it will not be impacted at all will not be right.
Recently, France has elected a new president in François Hollande, and in your opinion, what would this potentially mean for France and Europe, and in the face of the whole European debt crisis?
Okay. Yes, you're right. France has just elected a new president, and he happens to be a socialist, and he has promised that he will go to Germany. One of his first trips is going to be to Germany, where he says he wants to negotiate with the Chancellor Angela Merkel, and he wants to basically impress upon her that too much of austerity is bad, and that is what he is going to try and do. Now, remember that all the nations of European Union, and European Union is a bigger grouping than the single currency area, which is known as Eurozone. All the countries of European Union, excluding Britain and the Czech Republic, they have signed an agreement. Now that agreement, which will come into force from next year, will make austerity a legally binding rule for every country. So Mr. Hollande is very against this rule, and he wants some reprieve from the German Chancellor, that some latitude, some concession in terms of implementing that accord. So if he gets, let's say, a 2-year moratorium or reprieve, that will be good for France, or that's what he's at least going to try for.
Another question is, what do you foresee, like Europe, the whole Eurozone collapsing? What are your thoughts on that? What was the chances of that happening?
Okay. Now, one thing which I am 90% confident of is that the European Union will not have all 17 members in this group in the next 3 years. Okay. So I will say that I assign a 90% probability to that outcome. You're familiar with probability, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So 90% probability that all 17 members will not be there. Will the euro cease to exist in the next 3 years? I assign, let's say, a 20% probability to that. So I think euro will shrink, but will euro disappear? I don't think so.
Given the recent political developments in Myanmar, I would like you, what are your opinions about the possible economic impacts on ASEAN and Singapore?
Well, Singapore is going to find a fascinating new country to do business with. And ASEAN is going to be a strong consumer market. It is also going to be a strong supplier of gas, natural gas, and other commodities. So there will be lots of business opportunities for Singapore-based entrepreneurs, Singapore-based companies. So yes, the political developments are very welcome, and to the extent that the economy of Myanmar is quickly liberalized, that will be very welcome news, not just for Singapore, not just for ASEAN, but for all the people of Myanmar, and for the entire world.
What do you think are the potential developments in terms of economic terms for Myanmar? Because, I don't know, I think that there's this kind of hype about Myanmar now that there's all these political developments. Do you think that everyone is just jumping on a bandwagon?
Yes, you're right. Everybody is getting on the bandwagon. This is what happens to every country which is liberalizing. So yes, things will keep heating up for a while. Then it'll become a big bubble. So Myanmar will become a bubble, just like Vietnam became a bubble. And then the bubble will burst, and then real growth will commence again. So this is the path which all countries have taken, including my own country, India, where I come from. So there is nothing unusual about it. So enjoy a bubble. I mean, in life, a bubble also sometimes needs to be enjoyed.
If ASEAN were to adopt a common currency which is attractive to the LDCs, do you think Singapore will face a similar debt crisis?
After witnessing what is going on in Europe, you may not be aware of this, but there has been talk in the past of an Asian currency. Now, it's an idea that the Japanese have put a lot of their might behind, and they have been pushing for it. And now people have been saying that it's unrealistic, it's not going to happen. Europe, in terms of integration within Europe is much further along the road than Asia. But the proposal exists, on the drawing board. Witnessing what is going, what sort of pains Europe is sort of going through, I think that project will be shelved, at least for the next 50 years. So I don't think in my lifetime I'm going to see an Asian currency, a single Asian currency. And I assign 100% probability to that.
What do you think will happen to the future of Europe?
Europe has a very nice future ahead of it. But the problem is, does the single currency, euro, have a nice future ahead of it? And there my answer is that maybe not. Because if you do have the European Union shrinking this year, because it is quite likely that Greece will have to leave, maybe this year, maybe as early as June. It could just run out of money by June. So if Greece leaves and the euro area shrinks, then there'll be question marks about the survival of the eurozone, of euro as a single currency over the long term. And so, as I mentioned to you, a fiscal union is an option. But is Europe really ready to become a United States of Europe? Where will the capital be? Can the Europeans even agree on that? So I don't therefore think that euro as a single currency has a great future ahead of it. Europe, sure.